You know, there are some stories that just stick with you. And Tennessee Williams' A Streetcar Named Desire, it's definitely one of them. It's not just some play we read in high school, it's a real cultural touchstone. For decades now, it's managed to pull people in and frankly, creep them out, all at the same time. So the real question is, why? What is it about this play that gives it such a powerful, lasting grip on our imagination?
So, let's picture it. It's 1947, the curtain goes up on Broadway, and right away, everybody knew this was something completely different. This wasn't your typical night at the theater. Nope. This was like an emotional bomb going off on stage. It sent absolute shockwaves through the audience because it talked about desire, class, and mental health with a kind of raw, brutal honesty that people just were not used to seeing at all. And the whole thing is driven by these four just iconic characters. First, you've got Blanche Dubois, this delicate Southern belle who's kind of clinging to a past that's long gone. Then there's Stanley Kowalski. He's the complete opposite, a raw, aggressive, working-class guy. And caught right between them is Stella, Blanche's sister and Stanley's wife. And finally, there's Mitch, Stanley's friend, who for a minute there seems like he could be Blanche's way out. And believe me, when these four get together, it's like lighting a match in a room full of gasoline. The whole setup sounds pretty simple on the surface, right? Blanche has lost everything, so she goes to crash with her sister. But oh man, this is no happy family reunion. It's more like a pressure cooker. You've got these two totally different worlds, these two completely opposed ways of life, all crammed into this tiny, hot, suffocating apartment in New Orleans. You can feel the tension from the moment she walks through the door.
Okay, so for decades, pretty much everyone has called this play a great American tragedy. And it makes sense, right? It's about this woman's tragic downfall. But what if that's not the whole story? What if that label is actually way too simple? What if calling it just a tragedy misses what's truly brilliant? And honestly, what's so deeply disturbing about it? All right, first up, weeping and cackling. To really get to the bottom of this, we have to talk about the play's tone, which is weird. It's this strange, uncomfortable mix of deep sadness and, you're not going to believe it, some really dark humor. It makes you want to cry and laugh at the same time. And don't just take my word for it. The man himself, Tennessee Williams, basically said this was all on purpose. He said you can't really write a tragedy anymore without putting some humor in it. He felt that you had to have that humor to get people to take the tragic parts seriously. It was a deliberate choice to make the gut punches land even harder.
And this leads us to a really key idea, tragicomedy. It's exactly what it sounds like, a mix of tragedy and comedy. But the effect is what's so important. This kind of play doesn't give you that nice, clean feeling of release at the end, you know? That catharsis. Instead, you walk out of the theater feeling kind of weird, unsettled. It's ambiguous, and it's absolutely designed to make you think, not just to make you feel sad.
So if you put them side by side, the difference is just huge. Classic tragedy, that's all about pity and fear, a noble hero, and that big emotional release at the end. But tragic comedy, it's a whole different ballgame. It gives you this mix of pity and laughter. The hero is often deeply flawed, maybe even a little ridiculous, and the ending just leaves you feeling uncomfortable. It's a massive change in what a play is trying to do to its audience.
And honestly, Blanche Dubois is the poster child for a tragicomic hero. She's not just some poor, tragic victim. Come on, think about it. She's also incredibly vain, a total hypocrite about her drinking, just one little Coke, and all of her dramatic role-playing is, in a really dark way, kind of funny. We find ourselves laughing at her even as our hearts are breaking for her.
So when you look at the play through this lens, this tragicomic lens, it all starts to make sense. The goal here isn't just to make you sad. No, it's designed to be disturbing. Williams is forcing us to look past a simple story of a woman's fall and really wrestle with what we're seeing. He doesn't want to give us any easy answers.
Okay, so that brings us to our next point, a clash of worlds. Because this conflict between Blanche and Stanley, it's so much bigger than just a family argument. It's really a symbolic fight for the very soul of the country.
I mean, just look at the contrast. It couldn't be more stark. On one side, you have Blanche. She's the past, she's fantasy, she's soul and culture. She's even compared to a moth, drawn to a flame that will destroy her. And then there's Stanley. He is the present. He's all about body, brute force, cold, hard reality. He's described as a gaudy seed bearer. He is raw, unfiltered life. They are polar opposites in every conceivable way.
And there's this one exchange that just sums it all up perfectly. Blanche gets all dramatic and tells Stanley to possess your soul in patience. And what does he say back? It's not my soul, it's my kidneys I'm worried about. Boom, right there. That's the whole play in 2 lines. The lofty and poetic versus the raw and physical.
But this whole thing goes even deeper than just a battle between soul and body. This is a brutal, no-holds-barred fight over the unwritten rules of society itself.
Which leads us right into our third section, caught in a trap. Because when you really look at it, every single character in the story is trapped by society in one way or another. Blanche herself actually says it out loud. I'm caught in a trap. And she's not just talking about being stuck in that tiny apartment with Stanley. No, the trap she's in is so much bigger, it's woven into the very fabric of the world she lives in.
So, there's a scholar, Jordan Davis, who really nailed this. Davis argues that this trap is a super rigid code of behavior based on gender. These are the strict unspoken rules about how men and women are supposed to act, and these rules don't just guide the characters, they dictate their choices, they limit their freedom, and in the end, they basically seal their fates.
And when you actually lay these codes out side by side, it's pretty shocking. The masculine code is all about power, dominance, being the one in charge. It basically greenlights physical and even sexual aggression. And the female code? Well, it demands the exact opposite. Be passive, be subservient. Your job is to make a nice home and just accept male aggression. It's a completely unbalanced, totally restrictive system.
So, within this system, Stanley isn't just some guy. He's the enforcer. He is the king of his little castle. And he's also the executioner for anyone who breaks the rules. And Blanche? She's not just a difficult houseguest. She is the main threat, the #1 challenger to his entire worldview and his authority.
And this, right here, is the key to understanding her downfall. It is so chilling. Stanley doesn't destroy Blanche because she lies, or because of her past. He destroys her because she refuses to be quiet. She refuses to be passive. She challenges his power. And in the world of this play, that is the one, single, unforgivable sin a woman can commit.
So all of this comes to a head in the play's ending, an ending that gives us zero justice, zero resolution, and definitely no catharsis. And this is why, after all these years, Streetcar still gets under our skin.
I mean, the final scene is just absolutely brutal. Let's walk through it. Stanley assaults Blanche, which is the final blow that shatters her mind. Then, her own sister Stella makes the horrifying choice to believe Stanley over her just so her own world can continue. So what happens? Well, life has got to go on. Blanche gets shipped off to a mental institution, and the poker game just continues. The masculine world is completely uninterrupted. The system wins.
And as she's being led away, she says what might be one of the most devastating final lines in the history of theater. It's just shattering. It's this awful, heartbreaking realization that the one thing she always needed, kindness, never came from the people who were supposed to give it to her. Her family, her community, they were the ones who broke her.
And that leaves us with this final, really uncomfortable question to chew on. In a world like this, a world of dirty victories and tragic escapes, who actually comes out on top? I mean, Stanley gets what he wants, but his marriage is broken forever. Blanche loses everything, but in a way, she escapes into her own world. Stella gets to keep her life, but she has to live with what she did. In the end, in this messy, tragicomic world, maybe nobody really wins at all.